What's up, YouTube fans? Today we're doing a comparison of the DX9 Red Storm with the Takara Tomy MP-12 Plus anime Sideswipe. So these came out a few years apart. This is from just now, it came out in the beginning of 2025, and this figure is from back in early 2018, so 7 years apart. And this guy has been kind of the king, other than the Bad Cube version, which I don't have here. I think someone's sending it to me for a comparison, so I will take a look at that in a separate comparison. But for today, we're just going to look at the Takara version. And this has been my Sideswipe for a very long time. I did upgrade to the Plus version over the original, so this has like the anime colors. But as I always mention, I try to be as objective as possible with these comparisons. But of course, there's subjectivity involved when you're comparing things like this. So if I pick one, you prefer the other, then you win. I try to make these comparisons to help people decide what direction they want to go with their collection, including keeping both of these, which I'm going to do. This is going to be in alt mode. So with that being said, let's start off with accessories. All right, so here are the accessories that come with these two, and very similar across the board. They both come with the shoulder missile, which I didn't remove from them. Both come with a blaster, styled and detailed. Nice sculpting on both. Both come with these longer pile drivers, kind of done in gunmetal colors. Both come with a gunmetal colored flat pile driver. And then we're left with these handles, which can be used as an axe or just as a weapon on its own. And two additional pile drivers. I don't know how many pile drivers you need, but he comes with 3 sets. So they're going to be dead even on accessories. All right, next let's talk about the gimmicks on these. And there aren't much for gimmicks. The DX9 does have the pop-up headlights, which work well in the vehicle mode. It's also got the little gimmick with the axe. And then the gun and the shoulder cannon can be swapped in the hand. Because they put a slot in the gun, you can put that on the shoulder, and you can take this and put it in the hand. And the Takara doesn't have that feature. I just think that's a cool little thing they added. So I'm going to give gimmicks over to DX9. All right, next let's talk about the cartoon accuracy and the sculpt. In order to that, we'll put the G1 image there. And they both have a pretty good familiarity with the cartoon. And this is the anime version, so they tried even harder to give it the colors. But the chest is where things really are better on DX9. They got the shape of the chest. Overall proportions of this looks a lot better. He looks a lot more athletic overall, and it matches the cartoon well. So I'm going to give cartoon accuracy to DX9. I think they nailed it with the look of this guy. And the age of this is kind of showing at this point, but as far as sculpt, from the front, both are pretty well done, nice and clean. When you get to the side, that's where the Takara, again, starts to show some of its age. You got a little bit of breakup here on the top and then on the side. And then on the back is where it really shows. It's got lots of kibbly bits on the back of the legs. The backpack itself is pretty ugly. The DX9 cleans up very, very well. So I'm going to give sculpt over to DX9 as well. All right, now let's take a look at the paint and build on these two. And both of them are actually painted pretty much throughout. The face is painted, the chest is painted, arms. There's a lighter bluish white on the arms. Hands are unpainted. This part is painted. The white, the black, the silver, and the red are all painted. The feet are unpainted, but they're die cast. So they do look like they're painted, but they're not. On the back, pretty much everything you see other than the translucent blue is paint. And then even the shoulder cannon. For the Takara, same thing. The face is painted. You have white paint up here for these pylons. White paint on the shoulder cannon. All the red, the white on here. The black, I believe, has a finish on it. White paint there. This is painted. The feet are painted with white and red. The red you see here. This is unpainted, but that gets covered up in vehicle mode, so you won't even see that. So pretty much fully painted on the Takara as well. And both of them have pretty good quality paint. I do have a tiny paint chip right here, which you would have noticed unless I pointed it out right there. But other than that, I don't have any paint issues on the DX9. On the Takara, I also don't seem to have anything anywhere where there's paint missing or paint chipping. So I'm going to give them a tie on paint. I think they're pretty close. As far as build quality, this is also kind of close, but I think I would give the edge to Takara. I've transformed this thing many times. I've never felt like it's going to have a problem or it's going to break. The DX9, there's a couple steps, especially in the legs, where you're bending plastic, as well as up here, getting this to fit in right. It does feel like that's a potential area for damage. So I'm going to give build quality over to Takara. I think this one just feels like it's made to last a little bit longer. All right, next we'll take a look at the articulation of these two. In order to do that, we'll articulate each one individually. For the DX9, the head is on a ball joint, so it goes up to there. It actually goes down further than I thought. You just have to get the chin past this point, but it can go down further. And you get side-to-side movement, and the head can rotate around. Shoulder cannon can rotate up and down. You can also rotate it here at the point where it attaches. So there's a little bit of movement there too. Shoulders can rotate around here and a hinge out to the side on a hinge. It gets caught up there, but if you drop the shoulder down, then lift it up, you can get it out to the side. So I didn't realize that when I did my review. You can get it out to the side. You just have to drop it down on that hinge. Rotates all the way around. Rotation at the bicep. You have a double jointed elbow, gets you the full bend. Rotation at the wrist. You do have individually pinned fingers. 2 pins. They're not individually. They're pinned together, so you do get articulation on the thumb as well, ball joint and a pin. But the fingers aren't separated, so you can't point with it. I feel like at least the pointer finger should have been separated, but either way, you get a little bit of articulation on those fingers. Coming down to the waist, you have a waist rotation. Ab crunch. Both of those are toleranced nicely, so they work well. For the hips, you have hip skirts that will move out of the way. A couple of people mentioned they thought this was assembled incorrectly. I don't think it is, because if you had this on the front, it would, because it blocks you from going back. So I think it is assembled correctly, but it goes up to there, back to there, out to the side, all on friction. Rotation of the thigh at a cut joint. We have a single jointed knee, gets you past 90 degrees due to the cutout on the back of the knee. We have ankle tilts on this white piece. Then you have toe tilt on this piece here. And then you have a forward and backward tilt. And I wanted to mention, if you have trouble, he's not standing balancing straight, like his feet are kind of off kilter, it's because you have this off. I realized that later, if you have it off, then that's probably the reason why. So moving on to the Takara. We've got head on a rotating swivel, so it rotates around, goes up and down. You have this can go up and down. No side-to-side movement on the head, and no lower joint on the cannon. Shoulder rotates around on a hinge, out to the side on a hinge. Rotation at the bicep. Single jointed elbow gets you 90 degrees. It looks like they could have worked a double joint because there's one back here, but just due to the transformation, you can't get a double joint. Rotation at the wrist. Single pin for the hands. These fingers are not articulated. There's no pin in the middle, so they're curled, which most carbots are like that. But yeah, they don't have that. Rotation at the waist. No ab crunch. Back in the day, on these carbots, they didn't have ab crunch. For the legs, you can move that single hip skirt out of the way, kicks up to there, back to there, out to the side, all on friction. Not a big fan of the single hip skirt style. Rotation at the thigh around universal. Single jointed knee gets you exactly 90 degrees. Ankle tilt, both directions, and then a toe tilt down. So pretty obvious here, the DX9 is going to take articulation because they've got the ab crunch, they've got a double jointed elbow, they've got the articulated hands, they've got the side-to-side movement on the head. Everything is just a wee bit better on the DX9, so we'll give it to them. Next, we'll talk about the transformation and engineering on these two. When it comes to transformation, the Takara one is really pretty easy and fun. There's a few steps on the DX9. It's not that challenging, but it's scary because you're bending plastic, and there's some parts where the tolerances are really tight. And, you know, that wears me over time. So I'm going to give transformation over to Takara. I just think it's a overall simpler and easier design. When it comes to engineering, though, I got to give it to DX9. Such a clean design. The way they designed it to just hide everything away. I love that the chest collapses down, even though it's wider in the vehicle mode. About the wideness of this. So that's really cool. And then on the back is just really clean. So I'm going to give engineering over to DX9. All right, and there they are in vehicle mode. And two really beautiful versions of Lamborghini. And he's desperately needing a Autobot logo, but pretty good from the front. Obviously, the glaring difference is the lack of translucent lights. The blue lights definitely, look a little odd. Doesn't look like a cartoon, and it doesn't look like the vehicle either. Now, you do have the pop-up headlights, which I already gave them a point for gimmicks. And I forgot to mention the Takara has a gimmick where you can plug the weapons in up here. And then you put the gun into that. So, that's something that is an extra gimmick, but this guy has the headlights and it has the swappable gun and thing. So I still give gimmicks to these guys. But coming to the side here, you do have rubber tires and die-cast wheels on the DX9. But I do think these wheels look better. They look more like the actual Lamborghini wheels. Coming to the back, you do have the exhaust pipes here, but right below them, there's a little bit of kibble. But overall, I think the Takara back looks a little bit more accurate with these lights. And then the spoiler itself is where I think the DX9, they've got this hinge right in the middle. The Takara one looks pretty good without that hinge. And, it's got a split in the middle, but I think the hinge and the clips on the end definitely change it. So I am going to give alt mode to Takara. I do like the way this looks, but I think the Takara overall is cleaner and much more representative of the Lamborghini. Or next, we'll talk about the cost on these two. And as always, I use the Ages 3 and Up website since they don't monkey with the prices after they post them. The DX9 Red Storm comes in at $92. The Anime MP-12 Plus version comes in at $85. So Takara is going to win on cost by $7. Pretty close, but Takara is going to get it. And the final factor on the comparison is the Members' Choice category, where I ask my members which one they prefer, just based on their own personal preference. And this one, the DX9 destroyed the Takara in the Members' Choice. And just for fun this time, I decided to do it for everyone else, for non-members, and it also got destroyed in the non-members choice. Now that's not included in the score. I just did it for fun. I just wanted to see, was there going to be any difference? And they're pretty much almost the same across the members and non-members. So final thoughts on the comparison. You can see the score there, and DX9 is going to win this one, and not really a surprise there. I did expect them to win. And it really is a matter of just everything has been improved, better accessories, better design in the robot mode overall. It just looks a lot more like the character. More details, and I like the fact that they've got pop-up headlights and die-cast feet and little details and features that make it fun. You can swap the gun and the shoulder cannon, all little things like that. And then the fact that they came up with this axe where you can attach the pile drivers makes it useful again, and they don't have to sit in the box, right? You can use them in the hand. So all of that really makes it fun. And I'm planning to keep both of these. I'm going to have this guy in robot mode, this guy in vehicle mode. And I think Takara really does a good job on those vehicles. But I didn't have the bad cube here for this comparison. So if that does get sent to me, I will compare that with the DX9. But that's it for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.